Welcome to this introduction to the product vision board. Now I'd like to spend the next few minutes explaining to you how I use the product vision board, how I use the tool in order to capture the vision and the strategy of a product. So let's start by looking at the sections that it provides. You can see the 5 sections that the product vision board offers. Vision at the top, and then 4 sections underneath: a target group, needs, a product, and business goals. And those 4 sections really make up the product strategy, capture the product strategy. The product vision board really is a very simple tool, a very simple structure. I intentionally made it as simple as I possibly could. My aim was to find the simplest thing that could possibly work to capture the vision and the product strategy. So it's simple, but I find it quite useful. Now let's look at the different sections, starting with the vision. And I just choose a different color. So that should be all right. Now vision is all about the purpose of your product, the motivation, the intention behind your product, the ultimate reason why it's worthwhile to create and provide your product, the positive change it should bring about. So let me capture this. The vision is about purpose and motivation. And it's about the positive change that your product should create. Now, I find it tremendously helpful to work with a shared vision. A vision that the key stakeholders, the development team, people from marketing, sales, management, sponsor buy into and supports, that is meaningful to them, that resonates with them. So the most beautiful vision is not very useful if that's not the case. So one of the key qualities of a vision is a shared vision, and a shared vision then acts as the true north, pulling people along, aligning people. The second recommendation that I have is make your vision big and ambitious. I find it useful to work with such a vision that describes the positive change that the product should bring about maybe in the next 5 years or so. In my mind, it's perfectly okay to work with a vision that you can never fully attain. That's okay. But don't make the mistake of essentially restating your product idea in the vision. But your vision should always transcend the product. It should always explain why it's ultimately worthwhile to provide your product. And finally, make your vision concise. Now, my preferred way to ensure this is to work with a vision statement, or even better, a slogan. So if I was to develop a product that helps people become more aware of what they eat, when they eat, and maybe how much they eat, then the vision behind that product could be to help people eat healthily. I could be even more ambitious and say, help people live healthily. So that'd be, in my mind, a good example for a big but concise vision. As you can tell, I'm quite a big fan of using a vision. I find it's very powerful in order to align the key stakeholders, create a shared understanding, provide motivation and purpose. So if you currently don't have a vision for your product, then I'd encourage you to experiment with it. Now let's move on and talk about the final 4 sections at the bottom. And as I mentioned before, those 4 sections allow you to describe the strategy of your product. Now, when I observe people working with the product vision boards, I see them typically fill out those bottom sections left to right, starting with the target group. And generally that can work out okay. However, whenever you create something new, be it a brand new product or a new variant for a new market segment, so whenever there's a bigger amount of change and uncertainty involved, I find it very helpful to start with the needs. Now, the needs section really wants to encourage you to capture the problem that your product should address or the benefit it should provide. And sometimes a product can provide several benefits and it can address several problems. And that's why it's helpful to truly focus on the main problem or the primary benefit. And that's what I write down. So capture the main problem or the primary benefit. So describe why people would want to use your product, why it's worthwhile for the users to engage with your product, what's in it for them. What's in it for them? Why would they want to use it? So if we talk about a healthy eating product, then, well, the problem could be to help people cope better with a medical condition such as diabetes. Or it could be a completely different need, such as helping people lose weight. Maybe to look more attractive, or get in shape for the summer holiday. It seems that's what some people do. So yeah, clearly state the main problem or the benefit, and state what it means for the user, for the customer, to have that problem successfully solved. By the way, if there are several problems or benefits that you identify, that's okay. Then prioritize them and clearly state the main problem or benefit, maybe by putting it at the top and also underlining it. That's something I find useful. Now, the next section that I'd like to discuss with you is the target group. The target group allows you to state who the customers and the users of your product are. So who are those people? Who are the customers and who are the users? Does the market exist? And if so, is it a market that you already address? And is the market served? If the market doesn't exist, well, then you're facing not only the challenge of developing a product, but also of creating a new market, and you're dealing with a disruptive innovation, a disruptive product. If the market does exist, but you don't serve it, then it's just going to be a little bit more challenging in order to provide that product and ensure that you really have a valid or validated effective product strategy in place. So it's useful to reflect on it and be aware of it. It's equally useful to ask yourself if the users and customers are the same individuals. So I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint, part of the Office suite, in order to capture my recommendations about using the product vision board. So that's the software application you're looking at. And my company has subscribed to Microsoft Office. So my company would be the customer, but I'm the user. And sometimes customers and users have very different interests. And if that's the case, and different needs, and if that's the case, then please list them separately. State the main problem that the users want to see solved and the main benefit that the customer or the customers want to gain. That means that often you have to prioritize and say who's more important to make my product a success, the users or the customers, who should be the primary beneficiary, the customer or the user. Now, in doubt, if you're in doubt and you can't decide, I'd recommend that generally you focus on the users and try and do a good job for the users. If your product doesn't really create value for the people using it, then customers will stop buying it eventually. So that was the target group section. Moving on to the product section. The product section is there to allow you to state what product is it. Is it a mobile app or is it a web app, for instance, that you want to provide? And I'd also like to encourage you to look into those capabilities, those aspects of your product that make it stand out, that make it in a way special, and list the 3 to 5 key features. And again, it's all about those aspects, those capabilities that make your product stand out. Stand out from the crowd. Don't make the mistake of turning this section into a mini product backlog. The product backlog comes later. This is not about describing your product comprehensively and listing all the features that you may want to provide in the next few years, but really focusing on those 3 to 5 key features that make a difference and set your product apart, so that people have a clear reason for choosing your product over competing offerings. And the third aspect that I'd like to encourage you to investigate here as part of the product discussion is really to ask yourself if it is feasible to develop and provide the product. So do you have the technologies and do you have the skills to do so? And that allows us to move on to the business goals. The business goals really want to help you capture the desired business benefits. And clearly state them. So I said earlier, the need section is all about providing a motivation why it's worthwhile for people to engage with your product, to use your product, or maybe to purchase it, why it's worthwhile for them. The business goals section does the same thing for your company. So why is it worthwhile to spend money on this product? How does it help the business move forward? Is it to directly generate some revenue? Is it to help market and sell other products or services? Or is it to reduce costs or maybe increase productivity? So, what is the benefit, or what are the benefits that your product provides? Now, if there are several benefits, again, I would encourage you to prioritize them and state the most important one at the top. That creates a focus. And the second thing I'd like to suggest here is to work with targets. And draw a line in the sand and say, for instance, this is how much revenue the product should make in the first year after its launch. Or this is how much it should help increase brand equity, for instance. Now, it can be very tricky to state a realistic target, I'm aware of that. But if you don't state any targets, if you don't try to quantify or at least qualify your desired business benefits, your business goals, then it's very difficult to track your product's progress towards those goals. And it's difficult then to choose and apply the right key performance indicators, the right KPIs. So that was a quick introduction to the product vision boards. I hope it was useful to you. You can find out more about this little tool and about capturing the product vision and the product strategy on my website, romanpichler.com. You can see I've written a book about agile product strategy and product roadmap practices called Strategize. And that book covers the product vision boards. And I also teach a training course on product strategy and product road mapping, both in class and online. So maybe that's also something for you to consider. If you've got any feedback or questions, it'd be wonderful to hear from you. You can reach out to me, reach me via email and Twitter. And all the best for your products, for creating effective visions and effective product strategies and working with the product vision boards. Thank you for your interest.